If you want financial freedom, time freedom, and want to leave a legacy for generations to come, you probably have heard real estate investing is the place to do that. How do you get started? What do you have to do? When's the right time? If you are looking for those answers, you've come to the right place. My name is Kyle Stanley, and this is Fearless Flipping. My mission is to help you learn this business and conquer real estate investing. If you guys are ready to learn, today is going to be the day that you do just that. Jason Pritchard, he's been in this business for 4.5 years. It seems like after listening to him, you're going to think he's been in it for 14.5 years because this guy is just a wealth of knowledge. He's got anywhere between 8 to 12 projects going on at once. How does he do that? You're going to learn as we dive deep into Jason's story and how he's gone from 0 to 38 rentals in just under 3 years. Let's take you to it. All right, this man to my left, Jason Pritchard, here in Fresno, California. And Jason has been in the game for a little bit, but I would say that when it comes to Jason's expertise, it seems like you've been in the game for about 20 years.
It feels like it, yeah. You got a lot more gray hair since I started, that's for sure.
You're not as many as me, I know that. All right, so we got to start off with the Fearless Five. What is your weirdest or best real estate investing story?
So the weirdest story that I have is on the third property that we ever purchased. We got it from a gentleman who was moving out of state. I think he went to Florida, and he left a bunch of his stuff at the house. And as we're cleaning everything out, we're cleaning out the garage, and we found the cremated remains of his wife. Left in a box, yes, from the crematorium. Yeah, so I called, it wasn't even in an urn, it was just in the box. So I called the guy up and I was like, hey, forgot something. And he goes, okay, can we make arrangements to ship it back? And so,
okay, so you actually wanted it back. You didn't intentionally do that.
He didn't sound like he was super mad about it, so I don't know what the whole backstory was. But yeah, we did. I felt it was the right thing to do to ship it back. So we've got that all figured out and sent the wife back home.
It just gives me chills thinking about that. That at least it wasn't the different sort of
remains. That's right. That's right.
What's your favorite part about real estate investing?
My favorite part of real estate investing, Kyle, would be that it challenges you to think so much bigger. At least it's challenged me to think so much bigger than I ever have when I was working a regular job, right? And so I think one of the traps that we get into is we get complacent and we just kind of get used to living a, kind of a normal, more status quo life. And ever since being in real estate, my goals have just gone through the roof. And I've been around people and been pushed by mentors of mine to just strive for more. And I love that real estate has been the avenue for that.
I used to think that a $70,000 to $80,000 a year job was good. I just talked to a guy yesterday, him, Valentine, who's making $70,000 on one flip.
That's right.
It's like it just lifts your lid off of what you think is possible. So I love that answer. What's your favorite way to market?
My favorite way to market would be what I would consider organic marketing, right? And when I say that, I mean where deals are coming to you as opposed to you having to do the work to get all the deals, right? And I feel like deals are only coming to you organically when you've got a proven kind of track record for success. You've been in the business for a little while. People know who you are and they see what you're doing. And through social media and just networking and different types of things, eventually, if you're doing it right, people will start coming to you, whether it's other investors or agents or friends or family members or people that know that you're in the business. They'll say, hey, I see what you're doing on Facebook. My aunt is getting ready to sell her house and her tenant's just trashed and she just wants to get rid of it. Are you interested? Right? And those have always been the best deals for me.
Awesome. I love that answer. Yeah. Did you go to college? And if so, what did you study?
I did go to college. I bounced around a little bit. I went to Fresno City College, then Fresno State. And then I ended up taking a job as a admissions advisor for an online school. And I ended up finishing my schooling there, a school called DeVry University. And I studied business. Funny enough, none of the stuff that I really learned in school applies towards anything that I'm doing now. So all of the real world experience that I've had in like sales and management, I think has been more helpful for me than what I learned in school.
That's part of the reason why I asked the question, because I feel like anyone in real estate investing really didn't do anything to study real estate investing when they were in college or even went to college, which is why everyone can do this.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so let's get into the meat of your story. Why did you start in real estate? What were you doing before?
Sure. So as I was going through college and after I graduated high school, I ended up working for a technology company doing outbound sales. And so we were doing all business-to-business sales. And I could tell that I took to that very quickly. The sales aspect of it I liked. And I moved up the ladder pretty quickly and moved into a management position and ended up managing a department at the end where there was 30 salespeople that reported directly to me. We had satellite locations in San Jose and other places in the Bay Area. And, I was young. I was 26, 27, and I was making a lot of money. I was also spending a lot of money really quickly, right?
Like anyone
And
in their 20s.
exactly, right? And I reached a point where I was just kind of burnt out. I didn't really love what I was doing. And I felt like, hey, I wanted to try something else. And so I know that I wanted to go back and finish school. So I ended up taking this job as an admissions advisor and went back to school to finish my degree. And that job was essentially kind of a sales job too. It was recruiting. So there's a lot of calling and talking to people. I went through the same exact cycle. It was almost, the timing was almost exactly the same too. It was about 7 years at both places. I got burnt out at the first job in 7 years, and at year 6.5, I started feeling that burnout in the second company that I was at. And I just reached this transitionary point in my life where I felt like I needed to do something different. I'd always been drawn to real estate since even when I was a younger kid, and I'd had some money saved up in some retirement accounts. And I talked with my wife, and we just decided, you know what, I could always go back and do these other things that I was doing. And we decided to take a chance and try it, and ended up working out.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
and fast forward 4.5 years later, you've got 30 rentals under your belt, which you didn't even start collecting those until year 2 or 3.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And not to mention the fact that you're the head of a group with real estate agents, and you're doing a lot of things.
Yeah.
We're going to get to that in a second. But, as you got into this business, 2-part question. What attracted you to it, and where did you start? Because there's so many different ways to make money in this business. Where did you start?
I was always interested in, for better or for worse, like accumulating wealth. So I was attracted to things like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, even when I was younger. Like I remember reading Rich Dad when I was like 19 or 20, and there were a lot of books like Gary Keller's books, The Millionaire Real Estate Investor. Like I would read those even before I'd ever thought about getting into real estate. So for one reason or another, that type of thing always seemed interesting to me. I'd always been at a point where I was just very complacent, right? I was making good money at both of the kind of the corporate jobs that I had. And we lived like I said, a very normal life. We had a mortgage, we had 2 car payments, we had 2 kids in school, we had credit card, all the things that you have when, you've got, you're in your 30s and you have, two income household, right? And so I felt like I was never in a position where I could just quit my job and go try something new, because I was like, well, how are we going to pay this and how are we going to pay that? And, maybe I'll just stay here, and always kind of convincing yourself to kind of stay in a box, right? And so, we just finally just reached a point where I felt like, is this going to be it? Like, is this all that I'm going to do for the rest of my life? And I didn't see that. I felt like I needed to try something else. And so, luckily my wife was on board, and very lucky that she's always been supportive of everything that I'd done. And we just tried with one house and ended up taking that house down, buying it, fixing, selling it, making some money. And we just kept on rolling it and reinvesting the money and kept on going.
That's awesome. So with it being 4.5 years into it, and it sounds like those last couple were at that 7-year mark, where you've just felt burnt out. Do you have that same fear with this industry?
No, it's funny. I've never worked, quote unquote, as many hours as I have now. Like I get up in the morning between 4:30, 5 o'clock. I go to the gym. I come home, take my kids to school. I show up at the office between 8 and 8:30, and I'm there till 7, 8 o'clock, some nights, right? And that happens every day during the week. And a lot of times you're working weekends too. So I've never once woken up and felt how I felt back when I was working at some of these companies, right? And I could remember a sense of like, fear, or just an overwhelming sense of anxiety. Like, God, I do not want to go into work today. Like, am I going to call in sick, or what am I going to do? Right. And I've never felt that way with real estate. It's something that I have this passion for. And my dad always told me, if you find something that you love to do, you're not going to work a day in your life. And that's always kind of stuck with me. And I had a problem early on finding something that I love, but I truly, genuinely love what I'm doing. So it doesn't even feel like work to me.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, that's the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
So where do you think that passion comes with real estate?
I've always been interested and intrigued by business. So even at my old corporate jobs, I've always been interested in, how businesses run and operate and make money, right? And as being somebody in management, we could see some of the financial statements and the profit and loss statements specifically for the department I was running. And so I could see how they were making money, and I could see how much we were getting paid. And I always felt like, geez, like we're the ones that are kind of driving this engine, right? We're on the front lines and we're the ones that are really hitting these numbers. And there was always a ton of pressure on the sales teams to make their numbers every single month, right? And I could see how much money got paid to myself and the people on my team, and then how much money was going back to the company. And I always wanted to be on the other end of that, right? And so that was one of the things. And I just didn't believe a lot in what I was doing at the other companies that I worked for. And I do genuinely believe that housing is always going to be a need. And beyond that, I can just see the impact that it's had on myself and my family financially, right? And I want to have a lasting impact on not just me, but future generations, my kids, and beyond that. And I feel like this is a way to pass something down to them and show them that, hey, you don't need to, just only option is to graduate, go to school, work a regular job until you're 65 or 70, and then retire. You can do something that you love now and have the freedom to make choices that make you happy, not that you're making choices based on I have to make a certain amount of money to pay my bills.
Absolutely.
So,
well, I want to ask a question, and it's because I was in this seat back in January.
Sure.
And long story short, my dad passed away in January, but right before that, when he got sick, I just took a real brief overlook at what I was doing with my life. And I started to look at what are other things that I could be doing, because it was kind of like you. Like,
yeah.
I liked what I was doing, but it wasn't that I was like so excited to go to work every day. And so when real estate came across my desk, I was like, okay, the numbers make sense. This is really cool. I got excited about it. But then I went to a seminar and I'm sitting there and it's like all these qualities that they're listing off that someone would be good at this business. I was like, that's me. So I guess my question is, if someone's listening right now and they're looking at real estate and they're like, is it for me? I'm not really sure. What are some of those qualities that you think that they need to have to be not only successful at this, but passionate like you?
Sure. So I think one of the things that is a misconception, and I think the characteristics that I see in the people that have been very successful, at least in our local network and even around the country, is that uh, the people that have done well are not afraid to work hard, right? So I think that there can be a misconception sometimes that real estate can be a get rich quick, right? And I don't think that it's that. And it's always going to be correlated back to the amount of work that you put in. And I feel like that's true with anything in life. You're going to get out whatever you put in. And I was very fortunate that I was raised with a very strong work ethic. And I'm also, you can combine that with the fact that I'm also just like very hard-headed and stubborn, right? And so like I'm a dog with a bone when it comes to certain things, man, and I just won't give up. And so once I get something that comes across my way, I'm just going to stick with it until the end, right? And those two things have helped me out very much. So I would say you have to be willing to put in the work. I think real estate, more so than any other business that I've ever been involved in, is very much a people business, right? And I hated going to networking events at my old jobs. I just used to cringe like going and talking to reps from different companies because I just didn't really care. You know what I mean? Like my heart wasn't in it, so I didn't want to go network and really schmooze with other people. But one of the things that really kind of fast tracked my kind of career as I've gotten into real estate is the people that I've been able to network and make connections with. And I've always tried to lead with how do I add value to that person, right? And so I think a big mistake that people make is they're always like, what can you give me? Give me, let me ask something first, right? And I was always like, what can I do for you? Is there anything that I can do for you, right? And I think if you lead with that, you're always going to get a better result, right? It's, I think, a misconception too, because of all the TV shows and just different things that you see. It's kind of a flashy business where you have this flexible schedule and there's all this quick money and you flip houses and you make all this money. And one of the things that really helped me was just all of my sales experience. And I think especially on the front end, this is very much a sales and marketing job. And I think people don't understand that you're going to be dealing with sales. It's a numbers game, right? And it's a law of averages. And so you have to talk to a lot of people in order to get to the point where you're going to be able to get a deal that actually pencils out. And I think most people have a problem dealing with some of the rejection that you're going to have to deal with. And they don't have, the mental endurance to kind of, plow through 100 or 200 phone calls every single day, or to go door knock on a bunch of doors, right? And so, you have to do those things, especially at the beginning, to kind of get off the ground. And all of my old sales instincts kicked in after I kind of figured out how things worked. And so that part was a little bit easier for me. So I'd say those two things.
So just recap, they can't be afraid to work. They got to be a people person. the number one thing I think you said is just the desire to want to either help people or add value.
Sure.
Hey, Fearless Flipping community, let's hear from one of our sponsors right now. Have you thought about becoming a real estate investor, but you have no money, or maybe you just don't feel like you have the right guidance, the right system, or maybe the right plan? Well, the Phenom Investor Blueprint course is your answer. Developed by seven-figure earner Matt Garabedian and a good friend of mine. Matt uses his 10 plus years of real estate investing knowledge to teach you how to get involved with real estate investing without spending a dime. Matt's wholesaling techniques will work for any market at any time. So if you want to make 6 figures, 7 figures, or more, yeah, that's right, it's possible. It's time to invest in yourself. Check out the Phenom Investor Blueprint at fearlessflipping.com/phenom. Again, that's fearlessflipping.com/phenom. This is your first step to financial freedom. fearlessflipping.com/phenom. All right, so I hinted towards earlier, your resume. You've got like 33 rentals under your belt. You've got some of the most activity that I've seen in anyone around here. I think one time you told me between 10 to 12 deals going on all at once. So when you have that many deals going on, what are you doing to decipher what you're going to do with those deals, what your exit strategy is, or do you just have one overlying exit strategy?
Sure. So at the beginning of my journey into real estate investing, I was basically just fixing and flipping everything. Because I was trying to replace my income from my old job, right? And so I thought that was the easiest way to make the most money on each individual deal. And as I started getting connected and networking with some more seasoned investors, I started really spending some time with some buy and hold investors, and they turned me on to the idea of trying to hang on to some of the properties and to buy for cash flow. And about a year and a half into my real estate career, I bought my first rental. And we've got 38 total doors now. And so my goal now, when we've got that many projects, because we usually got 8 to 10 projects kind of happening at one time, all in different stages. And so my goal now is, my overarching goal is to try to this is the first year that my wife and I have taken a salary from the rental properties. Mm-hmm. So we've reinvested everything really kind of up until, January of this year. My goal is to get that check as big as I can. And so I feel that starting to pay myself from that and seeing the residual income that kind of comes in from the excess cash flow from the rental properties has been an eye-opening experience for me. And so I structure my business in a way where the transactional deals, the wholesales, the wholetails, the flips, we try to do enough of those to pay the bills, cover the payroll, cover all the contractors, all the marketing costs, everything like that. And then everything else above and beyond just what covers our costs, we reinvest back into rental property. Okay. And we're trying to just buy as many rentals as we possibly can. And, that's the goal right now, is to get that number there. I'd like my wife to have to be able to retire here pretty soon. So that'd be nice for her to have a little bit more freedom and flexibility. We've lived off of her income basically for the last 5 years, right? And so there's been, especially at the beginning, some more pressure on her, right, while we were getting kind of off the ground. And now that, there's some more light at the end of the tunnel, I think that would be a nice reward for her. So that'd be cool.
So it sounds like you do a lot of reinvesting back into your business.
Yeah. And I think that, for me, has helped get me from, 0 rentals 3 years ago to 38 doors now, is, basically just reinvesting everything. And we've taken trips and we've done different things like that, but we haven't raided the operating account and, taken all the excess cash and gone crazy with it. So we've been very disciplined and focused, and we have no personal debt. We don't have anything like that. So all the debt that we have is basically associated with our real estate and our rental properties. And so we've paid everything down, and we've gotten ourselves in a good financial position right now. And so we're just trying to continue to leverage that and grow that.
Okay, so short term, I'm hearing that what's driving you is to try to help your wife get to retirement.
Sure.
What about long term? What's driving you?
I think long term, one of the things that really drives me is I just want to see what my own personal capacity is, right? So I don't believe in setting limits, and I don't believe on, I think it's good to have goals, because you have to have targets to kind of shoot for and aim for, and those goals I feel like need to be big. But I just want to see how big I can go. And so, in the long term, I want to own thousands of units, and I want to have a company that's kind of fully integrated, that does more of the investment properties, that has agents that are helping people buy and sell on the retail side, that is potentially doing some lending, and that also does internal property management. I'm not necessarily interested in managing other people's properties, but I like having the property management internal. I don't self-manage anymore. I have an employee that does that for me, but she's my employee, so my finger's pretty close to the pulse of what's going on. So I'd like that to kind of be its own entity, and then I'd like to try to take on some larger projects. I'd like to, potentially build from the ground up and see what it's like to develop, and just see what's out there and see what my capacity is.
I think if people are truly listening and watching right now, they can see that there is no lid to
No,
what you want to do.
No, there's not.
Yeah.
There's not. I've through the course of this, I've always done a good job of trying to not just network with people that are at the level that I'm at, but also trying to give a hand up to people that were, where I was a year or 2 years ago, right? And I think that always kind of comes full circle. And I've been around enough people that are at kind of some of these upper echelons, and even what I would consider like top of the food chain for our market. And it's very similar starts to how kind of I got started, or you got started. Everybody kind of gets into it kind of in the same way. You know what I mean? And some people just reach a point where it's like, hey, I'm happy where I'm at. I don't need to do anymore. And I don't even know what that is for me, but I know that I'm not anywhere close to it right now. I know that I got a lot left in me, man. So.
Well, there's a lot left to learn from you too, especially in the next episode where we're going to talk about consistency, not just in marketing, but in all parts of real estate. The last thing I want to end with, and it'll kind of lead into how we can get people to connect with you too, but you mentioned in the beginning organic marketing.
Sure.
What kinds of things can a new person do to start, maybe not getting deals coming to them right away, but know that this 1 or 2 daily activities, eventually 6 months, 12 months, however long it takes down the road, is going to get them to a place like you where it's just like deals are coming your way?
Sure, and I think there's a couple things that you can do that don't cost you any money at all. So I think one of the things, and I struggled with this at the beginning, was sharing everything that I'm doing. I didn't even have a Facebook account when I first got into real estate. I just barely, I think I had my Facebook account was 2 years ago was when I started it, right? And so
you wanted to use MySpace, right?
Yeah, I was literally, MySpace was the last time I had any type of social media. So I'm just, I'm more of a private person, I didn't want to just kind of go out there and share everything, but there's been so much positive feedback that I've gotten from not just my friends and family, but from like total strangers or people that I maybe have gone to school with back in the day that, we've got connected again. And when I see them in person, they're like, man, dude, this is awesome what you're doing. It's so inspiring. I get people that message me all the time. So I think you have to put it out there at the beginning, and you have to start talking to everybody about it and sharing the process, even if it's like the beginning stages, and you can't be afraid to start sharing what you're doing, even if it's, driving for dollars, or you're walking your first few projects, or whatever it is that you're doing, you're kind of getting that out there and letting people know. And that will always kind of come back to you. And the more that you do it, and the more success you have, and the more track record you have, the more those seeds will start to bear some fruit, right? So I think you can do that. I think you have to go out and start networking. There's a ton of local and different types of networking groups that you can attend to meet other like-minded people. And you have to get with people that can hold you accountable, maybe, that are at the kind of the level that you're at, and you guys can push each other to hit the same kind of goals in order to grow your business. And then also get around people that are, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4 years down the road from where you are, so they can act as a guide or a mentor, or whatever the word is. So if you have questions about how to handle certain things as they come up, you have somebody to reach out and talk to. So absolutely. I think if you do those 2 things, it will, those plant the seeds, right? And those, real estate is very much like farming in the sense that, when you do work, you don't get paid for it right away. Yeah. And you've got to water and weed and do all that stuff and wait and let kind of nature do its course. And 6, 9, 12 months down the road, those seeds will come up.
And I think it's really important for people to know as well that share does not necessarily mean it has to be on social media.
No.
Yeah, it's going to help, but guys like John Bustamante, who are local to us, he doesn't even have social media.
That's exactly right.
And he's doing, just about the same amount of volume as just anyone else that's successful. So I think that's awesome. Share and networking. Now, you have a networking group here locally. That's how you and I met with the meetup group.
That's right.
Has that added value to your business?
That's added a lot of value. So the networking group that I recently took over, it's called the Central California Real Estate Investors Group. It's on meetup.com. So if you go on and just search real estate investing in Fresno, it'll pop right up. It's been very, very valuable to me because it helps kind of keep my my saw sharp because I can teach, or teach is maybe not the right word, but I can share some of the stuff that I'm doing, and if it can maybe help somebody that's new or even seasoned and whatever, if it's a great way to kind of share resources and collaborate, right? And it's also I found it's a great way to just meet other people in the business that may be the missing puzzle piece that you need for whatever you've got going on, whether it's a lender or a contractor or a handyman or an insurance agent or an attorney or whatever it is. We get people from, not just investors, but all across the industry that are coming in, and so it's a good way to kind of do that, get your name out there, and it's paid a lot of dividends for me.
Well, you truly do provide tons of value to people, and I say that because I've sat in the room with your meetup groups. We've sat down for lunch, and that is you. You always are trying to provide value. So I appreciate you providing value for our fearless flippers that are listening right now, and I would love for them to know that they can connect with you, whether it's social media or however you'd like. So how can they do that?
Yeah, I would say social media would be the best way. I'm most active on Facebook and Instagram, and it's just my name, just Jason Pritchard. And if anybody's got specific questions or they're not on social media, they can just call or text me on my cell. I'm sure you'll link up all the information in the show notes, and they can feel free to text. Is probably a little bit easier because my phone is going crazy during the day.
Sure.
So just shoot me a text and I'll definitely reach back out.
And I know how busy you are, so social media definitely number one. I will throw that out there, 559-994-1821 if you want to connect with Jason.
Sure.
And we'll throw that into the show notes too. Any last words before we wrap up here?
No, I would just say for anybody that's on the fence, don't be afraid to bet on yourself. I feel like that was the best thing that I had ever done, and I wouldn't change a thing about it. And there's going to be some harder times, especially at the beginning, but if you just stick with it and work hard, the results will inevitably come. It's not a question of if, it's just a question of when.
I did not tell him to say that, despite the name of our show.
That's right.
But it is true. It is your time to conquer the real estate investing process. Thank you so much, Jason.
Thank you.
All right, so you heard how to connect with Jason. If you want to see how you can download the notes for this show, just go to fearlessflipping.com/Jason Pritchard. That's JASON PRITCHARD. If you're watching on YouTube, just go down below, click on the show notes, and you'll be taken straight there. And just take advantage. Like I say, every single time we have a guest on this show, why not connect with them? Add them on social media, shoot them a text, shoot them an email, whatever you can do to increase your knowledge, increase your net worth, because that's equal to your net worth. And I just applaud you for watching this show and continuing to dedicate yourself to real estate investing, whether you have started or not. I truly believe that if anyone is ready to start this process, to start getting started, that they can dominate this process. And that's what we're going to talk about in the next episode with Jason, is consistency. He's going to give you so many nuggets that will help you to understand how consistency can pay off in your business. Remember, it is your time to go out and conquer. I said conquer real estate investing. We'll see you next time.